Part 2. Azure Moon. Heartstring Moon. The King's Triumphant Return. Following the death of Rodrigue, Dimitri begins to question his desire for revenge. His troubled mind turns to the kingdom capital and how he might end the chaos plaguing Fargus once and for all.
Our victory at Gronder was certainly a turning point for us. However, Rodrigue's death has been difficult to bear. We've lost considerable military strength and resources. If we split up the soldiers currently defending the monastery, we should have sufficient numbers to invade the Empire. But even then...
Your Highness, you should be resting. Your wounds are still healing. I am well, I assure you. More importantly, may I have a moment of your time? Thank you. I wish to apologize to all of you. I have led you down this dark path with me, and have caused so much suffering along the way. I cannot tell you how sorry I am for my behavior. There is no apology I could offer that would be sufficient.
And how do you intend to make up for my father's death?
Felix, I realize words alone are not enough to repent, but I fear they are all I have.
I'm not after more empty words. I want you to speak through your actions.
I know that no amount of regret can ever bring back the lives we have lost. I know that well. It is like patching up a tear with a different material. Things can never be as they were. The best I can hope for is to make things whole again. I wish to do the right thing from now on. That is why I have made a decision. I intend to take back the kingdom capital. I wish to save our people, those who I turned my back on for far too long, to follow my heart and do the right thing. That is the only way I can atone for my sins.
Your Highness. If we can win back Ferdinand, it will give us the advantage in our war against the Empire. As one who has served the royal family for ages, know that your words bring me great joy and pride. That said, I must point out that if we make for Ferdinand, the Emperor's head will slip further out of reach. Can you live with that?
I still hold hatred in my heart for her, and for the ones responsible for the tragedy. That I will carry with me until death. But my life is my own. It belongs to no one else, and it is high time that I started living for what I believe in. I will no longer allow the voices of the dead to bind me. This is something that I must do. No, something that I am choosing to do. I will accomplish my aim, even if it means risking my life to do so.
Understood, Your Highness. So, any objections?
You are correct. We cannot afford to die in vain by recklessly challenging the Empire.
I'm worried about Lady Rhea. But if this is the choice you've made, I support it.
I am at your command, Your Highness. I will follow you anywhere.
My sword is at your service, Your Highness.
I'll help too. The people in Ferdinand need us.
Fine, I'll help you, in my father's stead. But in return, you must win. You know that, don't you, Dimitri?
I do. And I swear on my father's lance that we will prevail.
Then it is decided. It seems this war council has much to discuss. Our next stop is Ferdinand, the kingdom capital, for the future of Fargus.
Really? It's always so peaceful coming back here. But it's hard to relax knowing we have to go out on another expedition again so soon. And now we're headed to the kingdom? That sounds hard. Oh, really hard, don't you think? I knew you'd think so! I knew you... Ow! Oh, ow. Can't believe I tried to hook you through the door.
I'm relieved the prince seems to have finally come to his senses. Though it's a real shame that Lord Rodrigue passed away. It really is. But now, I think we're starting to see a sliver of hope for the future of Fodlan.
Unbelievable.
Hello.
Here's my thought.
The fish in this pond get fed every day, so they're swimming all lazy and serene. But the only reason they're kept here is so that they can one day be used for food. But the fish don't know that, so they just swim around happily. It's a bit of a miserable thought. But aren't soldiers much the same?
Hey, you know when you work your muscles and they start screaming? That means you gotta be nice to them. If your muscles are hungry, you gotta feed them. And let them rest when they're tired. Of course! If my muscles hurt, then I hurt. If they're hungry, well then I'm hungry too. What's with the confused face, Professor? You look like you don't get a word I'm saying.
Say, I've come to deliver vegetables we harvested in the village to the monastery's dining hall. Because of the season, I couldn't really pick that much. But I wanted to help you guys out, even just a little bit. We're busily planting seeds, so when things start to grow, I'll be back.
Hi.
Hey!
Professor?
Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report. Ferdiad is a city with a long history that goes back to before Fargus gained its independence. I'd like to visit that place at least once before I die, but I'm afraid I have my own work to attend to. It's hard being so dedicated. Ah well, I'll go there for some leisurely sightseeing once Fodlan knows peace.
If you manage to take back Ferdiad, it'll make it a bit easier for us to do business. Taxes in the Fargus dukedom are ridiculously high. Makes it hard to even think about trading. That Cornelia woman. What does she use that ample tax money for anyway? From the Empire's perspective, I suppose it makes sense to squeeze the former kingdom territories for all they're worth. But if they throw those territories into total ruin, doesn't that defeat the purpose of conquering them?
Professor?
Dimitri hated the Empire with a fiery passion. At Gronder, driven by fury, he sent many good knights to their doom. Now he appears to be freed from that hatred. If he can make thoughtful decisions, unswayed by his emotions, he may make a fine king someday. No, they are not. A king must strive to be a king first and a human second.
I agree that we should head for Ferdiad, but let's not forget our search for Lady Rhea. The soldiers from the church are going to set up a base at the Great Bridge of Myrden.
They'll be able to keep up the search while we head for the Kingdom capital.
The Kingdom capital. It's been way too long since I was there last. Oh, Professor, I didn't mean... it's not that I'm looking forward to it or anything. Please don't tease me like that. It's just, when I think of us finally saving everyone in Ferdiad, it makes me a little happy. Okay, maybe a lot happy. The Kingdom capital is under the tight control of Cornelia, who was ennobled by the Empire. Judging by what we heard from Lord Rodrigue, it sounds like she's a tyrant. But all of that ends soon. Let's get there quickly.
Say, up until a few decades ago, Ferdiad was a disorderly city. Even the water supply was poorly constructed. As such, it was a hotbed of sickness and disease. The late king hired a researcher named Cornelia, who advised that he give top priority to improving the city's infrastructure. In the space of just a few years, the city was transformed into a place of beauty and order. At the same time, the diseases that had plagued our land loosened their grip, one after another. It was miraculous.
So we're turning around and heading for the Kingdom capital? Ridiculous. Tell him to cease this nonsense. Isn't there a saying in Fodlan? Something about those with power knowing how to use it? If he's not careful, the goddess will send her saints to smite him. Not that I believe that. Definitely.
After that great battle earlier, the balance of power in Fodlan has shifted greatly. To get revenge for all our fallen friends, we'll have to stake our lives on the fight that lies before us.
Hello there!
Right. Maybe. I don't feel like I can just forget all the awful stuff he's done. But if His Highness is owning up to his past and trying to move forward, I figure I can give him that chance. We've been friends since we were kids. I'm gonna be there for him all the way to the end. Professor, I really caused trouble for you, didn't I? I am so sorry, truly. I am also eternally grateful to you. Now, it's time to go to the Kingdom capital. I hope that you will lend me your strength once again.
How is this? Everyone is saying His Highness is back to his old self, but I do not think that is accurate. What he was until recently is what he had been for as long as I've known him. So tortured by his compassion for the fallen that it had driven him mad. He has always been too kind to be king. He has always felt too much for the weak and the dead. That is exactly why I look up to him.
True. Dimitri's completely changed. Or maybe I should say he's finally back to normal. Either way, I'm glad he's come around to the idea of retaking Ferdiad. With our current troops, there's no way we could handle the Imperial capital. We wouldn't even get past Fort Mercius.
Maybe. Oh, I can still hardly believe we managed to win against numbers like that. Oh, unless the real me is lying dead in Gronder and this is all just a happy dream.
We buried Lord Rodrigue's body ourselves. There wasn't time to do things properly. It pains me that I was unable to take him home to his territory. Once this war is over, I'd like to hold a proper funeral for him. For now, we need to focus on taking back Ferdiad. All will be well eventually. I know we can win.
Guess what I noticed? I can see further than most other people can see. But I can't figure the point of seeing further than an arrow can fly, since I can't shoot what I see. I suppose I could see a whole horde of enemies coming and run away. That's kinda useful at least.
Thanks, Professor. I think I get it now. I'm gonna put my eyes to real good use.
Maybe.
That's right. Can you believe it, Professor? Dimitri actually apologized to me. Remember that awful business between him and my Uncle Randolph? He just came by and said he was sorry for all that. That was behind us as far as I was concerned. But even so, it seems like he's changed for the better.
What the?
Luck wasn't with you. Had to be done. I'll cut a path for... I'll cut a path for His Highness. Weak. Pathetic. Had to be done.
Okay.
Anyway, I was born and raised in Fargus, but I've never actually been to Ferdiad. Do you think it'll still be cold at this time of year? I can't even imagine. You're right. It's an important battle, so let's make sure we're ready for anything.
Standing face to face with those whom I went to school with. On the field of battle. How inhuman war is. How horrifying. My heart feels shattered. It is my hope that this war marks the end of such foolish behavior.
Yes.
So many people died in the battle at Gronder. And here we are, preparing for the next battle as if nothing happened the day before. It's almost easier to think about war as theater, with the stage an entire continent. Even if an accident happens on stage, the next day you have to sing as though nothing happened. Everyone just pretends like everything is fine, focusing on their role in the play.
I never used to care whether I lived or died. But after seeing so much death firsthand, I now realize how precious life truly is. I'm ashamed of how arrogant I was to think that death could mean so little.
He'll need to excel as a leader if he's to make up for my old man's death. Though if my father could see Dimitri now, he'd be glad to have made the sacrifice. Don't you dare tell anyone I said that.
Professor, if we're headed to the Kingdom capital, that means we're further away from rescuing Lady Rhea. But it can't be helped, can it? Perhaps some people will question this decision, but I trust your judgment. Lady Rhea would want us to help in Ferdiad. She'd scold us if we rescued her and left innocent people suffering.
It seems we are headed for the Kingdom capital this month. The Church of Seros stands ready to lend its aid to you and Dimitri. It may be a roundabout route, but I believe this path will still eventually take us to Rhea. Besides, saving the people of Fargus is just what she would want us to do.
Fighting with 3 different groups in the mix was as confusing as it was difficult to survive. Enemies and allies dying, one on top of the other. What an absolute mess, huh? If only I had my infirmary out in Gronder. Maybe I could have saved a few more lives.
Hey, you.
Something else. It seems we will soon set foot in Ferdiad. I used to live there, you know, though that was before my time in the Officers' Academy. That's right. I was enrolled at the School of Magic there for a time. Trouble within the kingdom forced me to return to Alliance lands. There was much I had yet to learn.
The battle at Gronder Field was gruesome, wasn't it? But perhaps it's irresponsible to look away. Close our eyes to the horrors of war. Thank you. But I think I do, actually. As survivors, we must ensure that all these lives were not lost in vain. We must see the tragic foundations upon which we'll build our future. May an age of peace rise from the ashes, so that all this sacrifice means something.
Taking back the land of home has the most importance. That is why I am fighting. All for my land of home. Actually, there is more. I am also fighting for you. And for everyone here.
Edelgard, Claude, His Highness, all the house leaders from way back when, assembled again at Gronder. I wonder what their thoughts were as they headed out to the battlefield.
I am very grateful to you. I could never have achieved this on my own. This is all thanks to you and Lord Rodrigue. This month, we will invade Ferdiad by way of the Fraldarius domain. Leave the negotiations with House Fraldarius to me. You make ready for the actual battle. It is a tricky business, but we are taking our first steps forward. I have a request.
The Emperor was wounded at Gronder Field. What do you think is going on in the Empire now? The Leicester Alliance has really suffered a blow as well. Who knows what will become of them? From now on, we have to pay close attention to how the rest of Fodlan is doing.
Really?
There are stories of heroes' relics 1,000 years ago, of which we have no real evidence today. So many, in fact, that I'm led to wonder if those relics are nothing more than legends. Especially since we know of relics like those passed down in the families of the 10 Fodlan elites.
There's a school of sorcery in Ferdiad, which is staffed by the top minds of magical research. The study of crests and sorcery should not be separate. I've often thought I should pay them a visit someday. I never imagined I might end up invading the place with an army, though. Not how I imagined it at all.
Ferdiad, huh? I've always wanted to go there. But I'd rather be visiting for fun and during a warmer season. And going into battle? Not exactly an appealing prospect. Hey, I'm just teasing. I'll do what I can to help. I'm just so relieved that Dimitri is his old self again.